Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Love, for making me part of this wonderful webinar. Wonderful presentation by Suma Madam and Arup sir. I was in another session, so I saw the last two presentations, extremely good presentations. I would be showing basically two videos of pediatric traumatic cataract. Just a quick review of what exactly can be there in pediatric trauma and trauma causing pediatric cataract. You can have basically you can have everything, like you can have corneal trauma with a corneal perforation, a blunt trauma causing pediatric cataract. The good thing of blunt perforation is that blunt trauma is that it is almost like a normal cataract, but you should be cautious that this blunt trauma may cause a problem at the posterior pole also. A good retina evaluation is also necessary. There could be a direct lenticular trauma, which means that there could be a perforated lens, and in that case it would require aspiration if there is a penetrating injury with extraocular injury, which means that lids are also injured along with corneal tear or with and without corneal tear. Foreign body fall, you should always presume in traumatic cataracts that there could be a IOFD, and we should always get a X-ray skull done. Quite possible that posterior segment is also involved along with anterior segment, and so the most important aspect would be first to do a corneal suturing and then move on to posterior segment, and there could be a systematic system involving multiple systems also. So corneal tear, this is just one of the cases of corneal tear which has been repaired. Just showing a photograph of another patient having corneal tear with a trauma. If there is a perforation, anterior capsule has been perforated, we should go ahead and remove the loose cortex, because it may end up into having inflammatory glaucoma. Post-operatively, ultrasound is necessary, but pre-operatively, we should always try to get an X-ray, skull, epilateral, and PNS. CT scan only if there is, if you're suspecting a presence of IOFB. The only reason I have included CT scan is that we should be cautious that we don't go ahead and get a MR done. So this is the lenticular injury. Like in a trauma case, you can see that anterior capsule has been ruptured. And I would be showing a rare case of lens abscess, and this is another case where subluxated because of the trauma, the lens has subluxated. And this is one of the scenarios. I can just mute down the volume. Yeah. So this was a case. This was a traumatic cataract patient referred to us, 12-year-old, and was referred after 15 days. When the hypopyon was gone, and the patient had a perforating injury and had a hypopyon and was managed conservatively elsewhere, and was referred to us with such a view, as you can see. The corneal tear was already repaired elsewhere. There was a yellow infiltration, and so we were also skeptical. We thought probably it was either a foreign body or something else, and when we just tried to remove it. The anterior capsule, the initial plan was actually just to remove the plaque and just to see what happens. And then we found that there was actually a localized infiltration inside the lens. So we were quite surprised. And then we thought that maybe with the help of cutter, we will slowly try to remove the plaque and then see whether anterior capsule has been involved or not. And then to our surprise, we could find that there was almost a localized abscess infiltration kind of thing, which was going beyond the anterior capsule. And so we thought of removing the cortex also. So this is directly with the vitrector. At that point of time, I was working in an institute, and this is a posterior segment vitrector. So we could gradually remove the infiltration with the help of vitrector. We could do a vitreoraxis itself. And then we moved on to do a total aspiration. We did not plan to put an IOL because the CC was not done. So we did a vitreoraxis, but we did not plan to do a primary IOL implantation, and neither for the fear of getting the infection going towards posterior segment, we did not even do a posterior capsuloraxis. We thought that when we will be implanting the IOL, we would be going ahead and doing the doing the posterior capsular access, and we will do the surgical capsulotomy together with whenever we plan the IUL. So this was so to our surprise, when we tried to search the literature, we could see that this was quite well reported from my own alma mater. It had been very well reported from Arvind Eye Hospital, and in fact there was a big series reported, and the pictures in the publication were very similar to what the presentation was, and then we got convinced that it was so this is about the fact that IUL was not put in the first sitting, and the rest all was I would just be showing some. Yeah, so we found that almost 40 cases have been reported, and this was already reported from Arvind Eye Hospital traumatic lenticular abscess, and the single this itself they have reported 17 patients, and most of them very similar picture to what we saw, very similar to our lesion, together with the hypopion. This we have taken from the publication itself. And so this was regarding a lenticular abscess. And so another case, this was another case where we, this was a patient which was operated elsewhere, came to us for management with no idea what. So the basic report was there was a corneal tear. We can see that there was a perforation, was repaired, and an IUL was implanted at the same setting elsewhere and was reported to us for seclusive pupil. Now we can see that there is a large scar here, and the first at the first instance, what we had thought was that we will go inside, make a small pupil in the center, because there was no pupil. There was a small area here which was open, and there was a small rent here. So some haptic was visible from this point, this place, but otherwise we were not able to see much inside the eye. And sonography did reveal that the posterior segment was normal, and so we thought that we will go inside with a retractor and try to make a small pupil in the center. So we thought that that would be end of the surgery, and we thought that this would be a good this thing, and we will be able to rehabilitate the child. To our surprise, when we made so this is from a retractor, we are trying to generate a small, we are cutting the iris and trying to generate a small central pupil that we are carving out inside this traumatic pediatric or cataract operated pseudophakia. So now you can see that we have already made a relatively large opening in the center. And so we should have predicted this, but to our surprise, there was a thick posterior capsule opacification already there. Now, from this point of view, we were not having any idea how to go from there. So the only option was to either go from pars plana, or we planned that since there was already a rent here, we could maybe make another incision here. So you can see that you can see the opacification visible. And this is a nice central opening, but without doing the surgical capsulotomy, it would have been difficult. So it is very important to understand that when we are doing pediatric cataracts which are traumatic, we should not try to put IUL in the same sitting. I mean, if we are comfortable and if there is enough space, it is always good to put. But if we are not comfortable, we can do a aphakia and then think of implanting a posterior, post-chamber IUL, or we can do a posterior optic capture of the IUL in a traumatic cataract. Now this is a good opening, but we can't do anything from this opening. So what we did was we kept on thinking what to do, and then we thought that we would go from this place. Yeah. So there was already a small rent here. So we are taking with a retractor. We went from here and tried to do a posterior. Now I am underneath the lens and capsule, and we are trying to grab the yeah, you can see a small opening which has come up now from behind. So it is not really pars plana. We are almost doing a vitrectomy which is underneath the posterior capsule. So yeah, I completely agree with Dr. Arup that all pediatric traumatic cataracts are unique and they are different, and you need you need to think about it, what is to be done, because their demands and their situations are very unique to them. So with that note, this is the last slide. I would end my presentation. Thank you so much.